All right. It is a very chilly Wednesday evening, about 32 degrees here in North Smithfield, Rhode Island. But hope all of you folks who are tuning into tonight's broadcast are inside and just getting ready to chill out and listen to some sports talk here on Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy. I'm your host, Chet, and to my right is my counterpart, Duffy. So, Duffy, how we doing? I mean, it's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks. Happy Thanksgiving to you, my friend.
Happy Thanksgiving to you and all the fans out there watching.
Yep, just spawned back in the hometown, North Smithfield, Rhode Island, in the OG basement, OG Unapologetic setting. I'm happy to be talking with you today, my guy. Nice haircut and a clean-shaven face, too.
Yeah, dude. I had to get nice clean-shaven and nice haircut done because Thanksgiving's tomorrow. Got to look good for the fam. Show up in the best. Yeah, get the looks going. Get looking as good as possible. So, obviously, big apologies to last week because I was dealing with some really big illness, I guess you could call it. Yeah, big respiratory bugs been going around bothering everybody, you know?
You're pretty sick, my guy. And
very sick.
Happy to see you up and running again, dude.
I am too. I honestly did not start feeling better until Sunday evening of this past week. So back to 100%, back to the show. And I mean, we won't waste time here. Of course, you can see Tom Brady once again eating a turkey leg, a very old photo. I remember that game against the New York Jets on Thursday night.
Correct.
Thanksgiving. I was in North Carolina when that game happened. Oh my God. That's the infamous Mark Sanchez fumble.
You went to an NC State game that weekend, right?
I did. They were playing Boston College, I remember.
Mike Glennon or something, right? It was
Mike Glennon was playing, yeah.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, though, because a few years ago, if I went there a couple of years ago, I would have seen Russell Wilson play for the 2 seasons he played there.
Brissett a few years later.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. An interesting alumni that I got to see.
One quarterbacks from NC State.
Yep. But all right, let's hop right into the broadcast. So obviously, we didn't get to talk about the Patriots taking on the Browns. So we're just going to start off with the Atlanta Falcons because that is the most recent game. Atlanta Falcons brought nothing to the table in this past week's contest. The defense held the Patriots to 25 points. However, Matt Ryan and the offense could not muster anything in that game. It resulted actually in Josh Rosen checking into the game late in the fourth quarter, who also threw an interception. Patriots defense managed to get a touchdown of their own, but the Patriots victorious in this one have won 5 straight. And after the Colts completely destroy the Bills with Jonathan Taylor last week, scoring 5 total touchdowns in that game, which was completely insane. And in fantasy football, I still won by 20 with him as on the opposing team. Had to gloat a little bit there.
Your team had a week. Imagine having Jonathan Taylor and losing this Sunday, dude.
Honestly, dude, I would have been furious if I was that kid. Yeah, I know. But I had Justin Jefferson go off, Christian McCaffrey, Tom Brady, Joe Mixon. I mean, my week was pretty set for the most part. But because of that loss for the Buffalo Bills, the Patriots now sitting at 7-4 after 5 straight wins are on top of the AFC East for the first time in over a year, almost 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
But this is huge for New England fans. And Duffy, I really want you to talk about what this means for the Patriots.
It's huge. And, you know, a lot of people on social media, you've probably seen are really hyping up the Pats. And I thought it would be some bad juju going to Thursday's game, but it was the complete opposite. This Patriots defense is elite. They're a top 3 defense in the league without a doubt. They've allowed 13 points in their last 3 games. 13 points in their last 3 games. Taking the ball away, punching in the end zone too. Sure, the offense was a little bit sloppy last game against Falcons. Has held for 4 field goals in the contest, but a win's a win. And the Pats are heating up at the right time. Perfect time to heat up. 5 in a row, like you said. And craziest thing to me, going into next week's matchup against Tennessee, that game started at Patriots -3, and now they're -6.5 after the Titans lost to the Texans. So, you can see everyone really buying back into the Patriots. The public's pretty hyped about them. Everyone, knows that this team is back. And Belichick has done a fantastic job with what he's worked with this season. And, it's the best I've felt about the Patriots probably since 2018. Or the first time in 2019, maybe, when we started 8-0. But this team's elite. This defense is stout, taking the ball away, 4 interceptions the other night in Atlanta. And no points allowed. A shutout is absolutely incredible. I don't remember the last time Matt Ryan was shut out in a game. So this Patriots team, man, they are riding high. You got 10 days rest and a home game for the Tennessee Titans Sunday. I'm feeling pretty good about this team, man.
Yeah, and like 6 weeks ago, if you had sat there and told me the Patriots are going to turn a 2-4 season around and go 7-4 these next 5 weeks, I would have probably kind of been. I don't know what I would say, honestly. I would
soft a little
I
bit.
probably would have said you're crazy because I don't think the team's going to get 5 straight wins. They're going to at least lose 2 of these games, maybe, just because we didn't see consistency really from the team. But they're starting to get into a flow. They're getting into a rhythm. And some people are out there saying, oh, Mac Jones isn't that impressive. I mean, he has, like, look at him. He's throwing deke and dunk routes. That's why his passing percentage is so high. This team's not putting up tons of points, but they don't have to. That's the best part. This team is playing in games where they get a lead and they conserve the lead. That's all you need to win these games is just to hold on to that lead. And this defense has proven week in and week out that it can take on some of the toughest of opponents. And obviously the Titans, a few weeks ago, looking at this matchup, now without Julio Jones, Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown going into this one, Ryan Tannehill.
Is he going to be out?
I'm pretty sure. Let me check.
I hope not, dude. It's my team.
A.J. Brown.
He did not practice today, so
he didn't practice, so that's never a good sign. So, I mean, he's questionable going into this one, but I'm pretty sure he's on the more doubtful side, perhaps.
This definitely is a game that, all the arrows are pointing in the Pats' favor right now. But don't forget, Mike Vrabel came into New England 2 years ago in the postseason and, stunned everybody with an upset victory. So, he knows Belichick better than probably any other head coach in the league. I think this game will be close. I don't know if I want to slam that -6.5. I think that's a lot of points.
Yeah, it could end up being a lot closer than we imagine. And kind of looking at what the Patriots did last week, a lot of run going into effect. And now, really, ever since that Cleveland Browns game when we saw Ramondre Stevenson go off after Damian Harris sat out with a concussion for over 100 yards of scrimmage and 2 touchdowns, now after this Atlanta Falcons game, Stevenson led the team with 12 carries for 69 yards and Harris 10 carries for 56. These two are going to be – this is going to be a complimentary backfield. Damian Harris might have to battle a lot harder now to get more touches because Ramondre Stevenson, he looks good. When he breaks out of that hole, he's just got the acceleration and the speed, and even on first contact, he still manages to power his way forward. So he's an interesting back that brings a lot to the table. And we had talked about a few weeks ago when the Patriots lost James White for the entire season that they needed something else to really complement Harris. And I think they found that in Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, and Ramondre had a really slow start to the year. He was only averaging about 2 yards a carry the first few games, but the game against the Browns, really the worst nightmare for a Damian Harris owner in fantasy. But it was a great game as a Pats fan. Really helped them up to a 45-7 victory. 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a beast. And, it really adds a different dimension of versatility to the Pats offense, what they're going to do on the ground, because not every carry is not going to Damian Harris. Get Ramondre Stevenson, Brandon Bolden too. And I think it's long overdue that Stevenson's getting more carries than Bolden now. So, this Pats rushing attack, like you were saying, Chet, it limits what Mac has to do offensively. We've seen games where he's thrown 35, 40 passes, but, with this duo at running back, this tandem we got going for the Patriots, not going to see that too much or as much down the stretch. So just everything clicking in the right spot for New England right now.
Yeah.
And, we got some really tough games ahead of us. We got Buffalo twice, Indy on the road, and Tennessee this Sunday. But, this is a playoff team. And I said before the season, I think this is a 10-11 win team. And people laughed at me, except for you, Chet. Thanks for sticking by me. But
I know. I know what this team's capable of.
We're 7-4 with 6 games left to play in the season. I mean, and currently the number 3 seed in the AFC. So, I mean,
there's a lot of promise. The ceiling is very high right now for the Patriots.
The Pats can just win at least one against Buffalo. And
which, honestly, the way Buffalo's defense
been incredibly consistent this season, Buffalo.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is,
that's the most consistent team in the division.
Yeah.
We've been in every single game, New England.
Yeah.
Except for the Saints game. That was the only game that the Patriots really got a hand to them.
Yeah. And I mean, when you look at the Buffalo Bills this season, which we'll get to in the Thanksgiving Day matchup when we get to that, This team has gone up against some pretty tough, it's gone up against some pretty good teams. But in those games, Josh Allen and the offense have fallen completely silent. And that's something that might be huge for this Patriots defense that's ranked top 5 in the NFL right now. So there's a lot of promise for this team going forward. But kind of keeping it grounded and looking at what happened in that Atlanta Falcons game, 4 sacks on the day for the Patriots, 2 from Kyle Van Noy, who also had the pick 6 in that one. J.C. Jackson with an interception, Devin McCourty with an interception, Adrian Phillips with an interception. This team is doing everything it can to force turnovers. Matt Ryan, 2 picks, Josh Rosen a pick, and then Felipe Franks a pick for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't even know who Felipe Franks
his first
is.
career pass was an interception.
Oh, jeez.
J.C. Jackson, also best ball hawk in league history.
Mm-hmm. That dude's filthy.
Ball hawk. He's a ball hawk.
But now to kind of take a look at this Tennessee Titans matchup. Ryan Tannehill coming to this one looks solid at the beginning of the season. He has over 2,600 passing yards, 13 touchdowns matched with 12 interceptions, which does not look good on the stat line. This team will, once again, as I said, will be without Derrick Henry, potentially without A.J. Brown, and not having the services of Julio Jones. So it really brings into question, with this very healthy Patriots roster and very confident roster after the last 5 straight wins, what are we going to be looking for in this matchup?
I think we're going to have to get Tannehill early. Like you said, 12 picks in the year, 13 touchdowns, bring pressure in his face. That play action game is going to be really weakened without Derrick Henry. I think the Titans are a lot more predictable now. We saw it last week against the Texans with Tannehill throwing 4 interceptions in that game, and pretty much blowing a cake of a win. They were 13-point favorites or 11 or 13-point favorites going into it, and they lost. So, I think the Titans are riding pretty low right now. I think the Pats have the edge mentally, psychologically, and tangibly when you look at the rosters, with the Titans being so short-staffed. But I think the Titans have to air this out more, because I don't really see guys like Adrian Peterson, Dante Foreman, and Jeremy McNichols running against this Patriots defense. I think Tannehill's going to have to open it up, and I think if the Pats can play good coverage and get to Tannehill sending some blitzes early, they can get in his head and really minimize the Titans are able to do on offense. Because this team that scored just 13 points last week against one of the worst defenses in the entire league at home, and they could get off to a pretty bad start this week too if they don't have a nice drive or two.
And this is going to be an interesting game for the Patriots, who right now sit at 2-4 at home, facing a Tennessee Titans team that's sitting at 8-3 and leading in terms of wins in the conference, and is 4-1 on the road. So this basically, as Duffy said, this team needs to put pressure on Tannehill right away to force him into decisions that he would not normally make, because obviously the talent's not really there for him anymore. He doesn't really have a lot of guys to go to. And for the Patriots offense, ground and pound. That's what it's going to come to. Just running that ball down the throats of the Titans D, and then airing it out when you can, because Mac Jones, most accurate rookie in the league right now. And people, of course, say, because he's throwing short passes. But, he's, as long as you can throw those accurately, that opens up more downfield as the game goes on. Yeah. So, Patriots, I'm taking the Patriots in this one. It's not going to be in blowout fashion. It's going to be at least by a touchdown, though, I believe. I think the final score in this one is going to be 28-17. I'm
going to say 27-13, kind of close to yours. I think it's a 2-touchdown game. Mm-hmm. And I think, I said something earlier, not want to hammer in the Pats by 6.5. I'm gonna take them and give me the Pats, dude. It's by 14, and I think they'll get up early. They'll be up by at least a touchdown at halftime, and sit pretty comfortably going into Week 13 at 8-4.
All right, so that's our prediction right there. Pats win at home against the Titans and start to turn around their home win and loss percentage, because that's something that's going to be crucial if they want to be a playoff team. So we'll see what happens this Sunday. That game, I believe, is at 1:00. So looking at Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving is a great day for football. Some good matchups this year. But we're going to start off with the snoozer game that starts right away at 12:30, and that is the Chicago Bears coming into Detroit to play the Detroit Lions. We've seen this game at least 3 or 4 times in the last few
You're gonna
years.
see how many years in a row it's been. I know they played the
Yeah.
Texans last year, but it's gonna be at least like I'm gonna look this up right now.
Yeah,
But
something like
chat.
that. But for the Bears, they've won the matchup 2 years ago here in Detroit. This time, it might be a little bit different. As far as I know, well, yes, no. As far as the rest of the league knows, Justin Fields will not be playing in this one. He was injured in last week's game. So Andy Dalton will be taking the helm to face potentially Jared Goff, who did miss last week's game, and the Lions very close loss once again, 13-10 in Cleveland, were defeated, and the Bears also were defeated last week, I believe. What was this? Well, they were. I just need to see the score. 16-13.
13 against Baltimore.
Yep, to the Ravens, who were without Lamar Jackson. So, I mean, there's really a lot of questions to go into this game because for the Lions, if you're looking at their star-studded running back, DeAndre Swift, who's had over 25 carries in the last 2 weeks for over 100 yards and 1 rushing touchdown, he's proven that he's one of the league's top running backs. Yeah. So for the Chicago Bears, there's a lot of question marks for them because you don't have the services of your starter in a passing game that has just been very lackluster all season long. And then even for the Lions, that can be said as well. This could be a very slugfest of a game.
Yeah, it's gonna be an ugly game. Should be a low scoring contest. I'm gonna take the Bears though, honestly, in this because I don't trust this guy Tim Boyle at quarterback. You know, I love my Tims, but for the Lions, Tim Boyle, guy who threw 12 touchdowns and 26 picks in college. I've just saw on Instagram all week. Don't even know how the hell this guy's in the league. Threw 2 touchdowns last week. He was averaging about 2 yards per attempt through 3 quarters. He's not good. Mm-hmm. The Bears defense is good. And I'm gonna tell you this though. I saw this in the comment section today. You know, if the Lions win, it's a win-win for both franchises because the Lions win that game and Matt Nagy gets fired for Chicago probably.
Yeah, and that's something that's been a long time coming for this Bears franchise. I mean, they've consistently gone to the playoffs these last few years, but have been one and done for the most part. And Matt Nagy is a big person to blame in all of this because, I mean, you really have an offense that appears one-dimensional and kind of runs a lot of strange running back plays that, to me, just don't really make much sense. I mean, we saw it when the team had Tariq Cohen on the team, and I don't know. It's like Allen Robinson can't get any targets, and he's easily when he's doing well, he's at least a top 15 wide receiver, maybe top 20. But he's good, is what I'm trying to get at. He's not the best, but you get him the ball, and he's a good red zone target, and he's really struggled this year.
And he's never played with a good quarterback either. Mm-hmm. So, you know, with a rebuilding team like the Bears are, a new rookie quarterback, it's going to be tough to get those type of carries. So yeah. I think you'd have better success with Andy Dalton, and he's a veteran. He'll swing the rock and stuff. This picture sucks. I'm not going to use it anymore.
Yeah. And looking at the Lions in this one, sitting at 0-9-1, with probably going to be without Jared Goff this weekend. That's still kind of up in the air. He's listed as questionable right now. I'm gonna take the Bears though, just because they are probably the safe pick in this one. Jared Goff, if he plays, I might lean towards the Lions. But the Lions, they've just struggled, and they're easily the worst team in football this season, as sad as it is to see this team struggle, especially after making a big trade to send Matt Stafford over to LA. It's really proven that this team is also in the rebuilding formation as the Bears are. But I'm going to take the Bears in this, and it's going to be a very slug-fested game. And I'm going to say a final score of 23-20.
I like that. I'm going to say it 16-10.
Yeah, that's a solid score right there, too.
Yeah, I think the under's a lock. Take that when you can. And, yeah.
All right, and then following 4 hours later at 4:30, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to head to Dallas to take on the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys are no stranger to Thanksgiving as well. Both Detroit and Dallas play on Thanksgiving consistently. And the Dallas Cowboys definitely suffered a very devastating loss last week, 19-9 in Arrowhead, in a game where that Chiefs defense played very well, but at the same time, that offense only put up 19 points. So the Cowboys know they really missed an opportunity to win a game here on the road. They come home, and this could be a big. I mean, and they're 4-1 at home. Raiders 2-2 on the road, sitting at 5-5. So they're desperate for a win. But in this one, I just think it's going to be all Cowboys.
Me too. And we see the Raiders in their second half of the season bullshit that we've seen each of the last 2 years. Losing the last 2 games after starting 5-3, looking nice in the playoff picture, but they looked terrible last week at home against the Bengals. I thought that'd be a pick-me-up game for them. They looked absolutely horrendous. They looked horrendous against the Kansas City Chiefs 2 weeks ago. Just 2 terrible losses for a combined 46 points in those games. So losing by 3 scores. And against Dallas on a short week on Thanksgiving with the Cowboys riding as hot as they are, coming off a loss too. Dak's gonna be pissed off. I think the Cowboys win this game. I think they drop a 40 piece on the Raiders, honestly.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say 40-27.
It's for Raiders fans. I know you guys are loyal. You're probably some of the most impressive fans I've seen in all of football.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm sorry, the silver and black, you're going to just have to avoid painting your face, wearing your jersey at all this week, because it's going to be all Cowboys in this one. Dak Prescott, as Duffy was saying, he's going to be very pissed off in this one. Same with Ezekiel Elliott and the rest of that crew. And that defense, they've proven that they're easily one of the best in football as well. I'm taking the Cowboys at home. It's going to be a very ugly game. I think I'm going to say a final score of 41-17.
Interesting. I like that. It could be closer, but just because the Raiders' history, I'm going to suggest otherwise. And, they just haven't looked the same the last few weeks. And I don't see Dallas losing back-to-back games again. So I like Dallas at home in front of their home fans. Dak missed last Thanksgiving too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that he's going to want to give the fans something to remember.
Absolutely. All right, and then finally, to finish off Thanksgiving night, Bills head to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Saints had lost Jameis Winston about 2-3 weeks ago, missed Alvin Kamara last week due to an injury, and now have Trevor Siemian and now Taysom Hill for the next 4 years as he inked a contract last night, which is very...
Wait, they gave him a contract last night?
It was, last night for $40 million.
Jeez.
I don't know.
Feeding this guy, man.
Honestly, bro, I honestly have no fucking idea why they're paying this guy that much money, because he really hasn't proven that himself that much.
He's already 31 years old,
He just got lucky. He was in the right place at the right time.
He was.
Kind of. And I mean, he was decent last year, but the team was a lot better and still had Mike Thomas last year. So obviously, Michael Thomas will not be playing at all this season. And the Bills, they just got shown up at home by the Colts, completely blown out. Josh Allen just looked completely lost in last week's game, and that whole Bills offense really did look lost. And the thing is, my criticism with the Bills, there is no defined run game with them. It's literally just Josh Allen running for his life when the pocket collapses. Devin Singletary, Zach Moss, and Matt Breida. I mean, Matt Breida has been the only shining running back in that backfield these last 2 weeks since he's played. They just don't have a defined running game. And if your quarterback's going to be the one carrying the team, which he has been, I don't know what they're going to do going forward. But in this one,
that was a criticism of the team last year, in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs. They had absolutely no run game. That was one of the reasons why they lost that game in Arrowhead and haven't improved on it this year at all, really. Yeah.
So, I mean, in this one, it's kind of a toss-up, but for me, I think Buffalo's probably going to come into this one ready to go. I don't think they're going to blow out the Saints, because I think the Saints D is going to keep it close. I mean, even if Alvin Kamara doesn't play, you still got Mark Ingram in there. And I'm sure even if Kamara plays, Mark Ingram's going to get as much touches as Kamara did when Kamara was young and starting off in the league, when Mark Ingram was the lead back in that backfield. So this one could go either way, but I'm going to take Buffalo. I think Buffalo is going to be pissed off. They're even though they've been losing some pretty interesting games that they shouldn't be losing, or it should be a lot closer, I think they're going to have this one. I mean, it's tough because the Saints are 2-2 at home. Bills are positive 3-2 on the road. I'm going to take them in this one. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I'm going to say a final score of 28-24.
I'll take Buffalo too. I think it's going to be closer than 6.5. That's the spread right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like if Jameis Winston was playing, the Saints are probably -1 or 2 going into this game because Bills come off a horrendous loss on Sunday to the Indianapolis Colts, a game at home. They trailed by 31 points in the contest. Terrible game. But against the Saints, I think Trevor Siemian is, the biggest cardinal sin for New Orleans right now. I think he's going to be holding back to winning a tough primetime game like this. We've seen them be close in some games, but he was terrible last week until the fourth quarter against the Eagles. Eagles secondary, which is really bad, by the way. Eagles secondary is terrible this year.
Yeah.
And, he was 10 of 25 midway through the fourth quarter. So I like the Bills on the road, and they bounce back this week. This is a pick-me-up game for them. And I'm going to say a 30-23 victory. I think they just barely cover that spread. I think because Sean Payton, he's going to dice something up for Simeon. They're going to get on the board. They're not going to get blown out at home on Thanksgiving. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think the Bills come in on the road and they snag one out and get right back in the thick of that AFC East playoff picture.
And it's been a tough one for the Saints, who were sitting at 5-2 as after their victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, have lost 3 straight games, 1 to the Falcons, 1 to the Titans, and then absolutely destroyed last week to the Eagles. But the last 2 games were close. I'm sure they're going to keep this one close because right now Alvin Kamara has been ruled out for Thanksgiving, and then Mark Ingram is listed as questionable for the game going into it. So that concludes our thoughts there for the Thanksgiving games. Those are your calls here from Chet and Duffy. And now for a very interesting call before we get to the final segment. This was something I wanted to implement last week. However, I couldn't because I was sick at the time. But we're going to go over our AFC and NFC early predictions for the championship round before the Super Bowl. So, starting with the AFC, Duffy, you want to take the reins or you want me to go ahead and say what I got?
Well, I'll see what I'm going to say. I think it's going to be the 2 hottest teams in the AFC right now. The 2 least flawed overall rosters, the New England Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
The championship this year for the right to go to Los Angeles. Both these teams are heating up at the perfect time. They're both red hot. They've both won multiple games in a row, and they both don't look too flawed. I know the Chiefs have looked pretty flawed on offense the last few weeks, so that's kind of a lie. But their defense has been elite. They've been next level compared to the last few years where they made the Super Bowl. And I think Kansas City has a real good chance to go to 3 straight Super Bowls. I really hope they don't, but when it comes down to the playoffs, I think Patrick Mahomes against Lamar Jackson, against Ryan Tannehill and the Titans, I'm going to take Mahomes any day of the week in those games. And with the way the Chiefs are playing, and with how close the AFC is, they could really come out here with number 1 seed in the conference. I mean, they're really only like half a game out right now. They're a game behind the Tennessee Titans, who have looked terrible. And, if Derrick Henry gets healthy, maybe Tennessee can beat Kansas City. Them and Baltimore both have a good chance. They both did it in the regular season already. But the Chiefs, they're coming back. They're on the right trajectory. And the Patriots, already talked enough about them today so far. I think, the Patriots are just a complete team. I think Belichick is going to have, a good game plan for any of the teams that the Patriots could meet in the playoffs. I'm not really, as a Patriots fan, I'm not scared of anybody in the AFC besides Kansas City right now. And I think that's going to be the AFC Championship. So,
solid pick right there. For my AFC pick, it's a little bit different. And obviously, both these teams have been banged up these last couple of weeks. But I think once they start to get those players back late in the season, I think we're going to see them really show who they really are in the playoffs. And it's going to be the Baltimore Ravens against the Tennessee Titans in the AFC Championship game. Because Derrick Henry, when he comes back, he's going to be hungry, because this was a man who was on pace to not only lead the league in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, but potentially break the rushing title and the touchdown title for running backs. Yeah. So this is a man who's going to come out and be hungry. We're going to see the Titans back in their old ways as Julio Jones comes back healthy, and A.J. Brown for the postseason. And Ryan Tannehill is going to put on some magic, because Mike Vrabel has put together a very solid roster to the point where he could lead this team to a championship. And as for Baltimore, sure, their defense has been down for the most part in games, letting up tons of points. But that offense, when Lamar Jackson is on his A game, he can battle right back into any game you've asked him to. And they've done that time and time again this season. So Baltimore Ravens, they will be hosting. Well, no, they won't be hosting. The Titans will host in this one.
Wow. You really think either of those teams can
Well,
beat?
actually, I'm going to say Baltimore hosts it. I don't think the
I
Titans are
mean,
going to have
they
enough.
both already proved it, but
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's an interesting pick. I do like the pick, though. It's audacious.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to
Figured
say,
I'd just throw it out there.
you think either of those teams can beat KC, but they both already did. If KC gets home field, though, I think that's a lock. She win
Yeah.
the AFC Championship, but
KC and Buffalo are kind of both in the same like steering wheel, right? Well,
Buffalo, huh?
What's that?
Neither of us have Buffalo, huh?
No, well, the thing is like with Buffalo and Kansas City, for me, those two offenses have just been too, like, they shy away from what they shined upon last year, which is something that's not good if they're looking to get to the championship. So, I mean, for me, I don't see them making it that far because I just don't think their offenses are, at least now. They could totally change by the end of the season. We see them back to the way they are.
But I think they're just too flawed. You know,
and it is the mid-season call. This could be totally different.
A lot of football. There's 7 more weeks.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
Football. So
not much left in the fantasy football regular season, though. That's
not much left. Speeding it up. Tight it up, baby.
9-2 in our league. Let's freaking go.
Nice.
My team's nice, dude. My team's freaking filthy right now. All right. And then for the NFC Championship, I'm going to say mine really quick. This is something that a lot of people are kind of scratching their heads about because the NFC right now is probably is 10 times better than the AFC.
I wouldn't say it's better, but
these teams are stronger.
Definitely tighter. You know,
it's tighter. There's a lot more talented teams out there, talented rosters in the NFC. Yeah. And for the NFC Championship round, it's going to be a rematch of last season, baby. Aaron Rodgers is putting everything on the line this year. And sure, the Buccaneers have faltered a little bit here and there. Never bet against Tom Brady in the postseason. And once again, he's going to be on the doorstep of the Super Bowl once again. These two teams will meet in Lambeau Field yet again for another showdown. And people are going to be going bananas about this game because this could mean, hey, Brady goes back to the Super Bowl and Aaron Rodgers walks away once again with nothing, or Aaron Rodgers goes on his final run to the Super Bowl with the team he's been trying to win for many years. They have not been to a Super Bowl since 2010. So this would be a big game for them. And this is what I'm calling right now. Rematch of last year.
Crazy because I was actually going to say the same exact thing.
Wow. We just agree with each other tonight. This is interesting.
Yeah, I would say the same thing as last year. Packers against the Bucks. I think it's going to be in Tampa though.
Really? Okay.
Actually, no, it'll probably be in Green Bay. It doesn't really matter. So I just think that's what it's going to be. But I think it would be the biggest game of Aaron Rodgers' career, in my opinion. You know, going out, this is going to be, like you said, probably his last year in Green Bay. And, you know, he posted the last dancing on a story before the season started. So it's definitely going to be it for him in Wisconsin. And I think that he's going to give it all on the line. He's going to win this game if they do meet in the conference championship. I just don't see, you know, Kyler Murray or Dak Prescott and you know, the wild card teams are pretty weak right now. I know the Rams are really good, but they've lost the last couple of games pretty bad. They've been shown how flawed they can be. But then you got the Vikings, Saints, and Niners. I don't see any of these teams beating the Bucks or Packers except for a healthy Rams squad. Probably it's the only. I don't even see the Cardinals beating either of those teams. I think Arizona is a bunch of frauds.
Yeah, I wouldn't say frauds. It's just, I mean, they've kind of
they don't have that championship pedigree. You know,
yeah,
they still have them.
And then even for the Rams, it's like the Rams are solid, but Matt Stafford's shown a lot of question marks these last couple of weeks where you're kind of wondering, because that defense is still great, but just the way he's performed against the Niners and the Titans, it kind of makes you scratch your head and worry about this team going down the line to see what they can do. And as for Dallas is a good team, but
yeah,
it just seems like when it comes down to brass tacks, playoff teams know what they got to do to beat them, and that's just that's just God's honest truth with that.
I agree, brother. I agree.
And now to quickly wrap up this segment, my winners for the AFC and the NFC. for this season, the Baltimore Ravens will go to face Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in Los Angeles.
That's a pretty hot take. I'm gonna go.
That is
Chiefs.
a hot take.
I'm gonna go Chiefs Packers.
Okay.
I would say the Pats, but yeah, I'm a guy. I like trends, and a rookie quarterback has never started a Super Bowl. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. So give me Chiefs back to their third straight championship against the Aaron Rodgers Packers, and hopefully we can finally get a Mahomes-Rodgers matchup that we've missed the last 2 times those teams have played.
Yeah, that honestly, that would be a football fan's like match made in heaven right there for a Super Bowl. That would be something to watch right there. All right. So that wraps up our AFC and NFC talk for the championship round. Now we're going to head into the final segment. So I went 1-1 2 weeks ago. Tim went 2-0. So Tim is now sitting at 13-5 on locks and upsets. And Chet is sitting at 9-9, 500. So I'm just barely staying afloat. So since I am consistently losing, I really want to go ahead and say my first pick. Tim's already got it queued up. Eagles are going to go into MetLife Stadium and take down their division rival, New York Giants, because right now the Eagles sit at 5-6. They're 4-2 on the road, going up against a 3-7 Giants team who is 2-3 at home. This team has a chance to get themselves in the wild card conversation. Jalen Hurts has looked unbelievable in these last few games he's played.
Correct.
He is just playing lights out. Right now, he is ranked the top fantasy quarterback as of this moment, which is absolutely bananas. And I mean,
that's why it's fantasy and not real life, you know?
Yeah. And as for Daniel Jones and the struggling New York Giants, once again are going to be without Saquon Barkley. Kenny Galladay can't stay healthy. He can't play consistently. And this offense just looks like it's in complete disarray. I just think there's just no way. And I mean, the Eagles are hot off a 40-29 victory.
Yeah.
Giants will have a decent passing game going forward, but I think the Eagles are still going to win this by 2 possessions. I think we're going to see a final score of 31-20.
Got the Eagles too in this game. You know, they've kind of owned the Giants the last few years, as everyone knows. And Jalen Hurts, like you said, he's been steamrolling lately. He's on a roll, and he's going to go on the road this week and get that W. I'm going to say 34-20 in favor of Philadelphia.
Solid pick, my friend. Let's hear your lock this week.
Lock of the week. This is a tough week to pick a lock, but I'm just gonna do it, man. I'm just gonna give you a nice cheeky lock.
Ooh.
Give me the Atlanta Falcons on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Okay.
The reason I'm picking this is usually any game against the Jaguars is a Mickey Mouse lock, but the Falcons only 1.5 point favorites on the road this weekend against Jacksonville, who have really given me nothing to see that would only make me want to give them 1.5 points this game. So give me the Falcons coming off of a terrible loss, long week to rest. Should be a pick-me-up game. Matt Ryan has never lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars in his career. I don't think it's going to happen this Sunday. So give me Atlanta on the road.
Yeah, this is kind of a tricky one, obviously, just because this could end up being a trap game of some sorts, or even because I mean the Jags did defeat the Buffalo Bills a few weeks ago with a score of 9-6, which was kind of like okay, that just happened. But obviously, the Atlanta Falcons, they're going to be pissed off after that shutout that they went through last week at home. I mean, it's a tough one for me. I mean, just because I feel bad for my brother, I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons. He's just been a struggling fan this year, and
a square Falcons fan. Kind of sucks.
It does suck, dude.
It sucks to be him on Sundays.
And I mean, it sucks because this team's without Calvin Ridley right now. I mean, obviously, hats off to him. Hope he's doing well.
He's really pioneering, dude. I hope he's okay. Seriously.
Yeah, I hope so too. So I'm going to take Atlanta in this one. I think it's going to be a pretty shitty game. I'll say a final score of 17-13.
Yo, you saw that 9-6 thing too. Oh, Joe, I saw a prediction today on Instagram. Pete Prisco, his picks for CBS Sports, he predicted 9-6 Jaguars. I was like, dude, they're not going to win another game 9-6. Like,
that's so stupid. There's going to be at least a touchdown scored. You're talking about 2 horrible defenses. This could be a decent scoring game, but Trevor Lawrence, he's kind of been very disappointing so far in year one of his career. Yet he's still young. He's got the sky's the limit for him right now. So now for my upset pick this week, I like what they did last week. They won a very close game at home against Green Bay that nearly could have ended up in Green Bay's favor, but the Vikings finally edge out a close victory.
Wow.
The Niners, sure, they've got Deebo Samuel going off. George Kittle's back and ready to go. And Jimmy Garoppolo's been playing some pretty solid football. But I'm going to take Kirk Cousins in this one because right now you look at the Minnesota Vikings, 2-3 on the road, as opposed to the Niners, who are currently sitting at 1-4 at home. Very pathetic look for them. Both teams are sitting at 5-5, but for me, I see the more talented roster being with the Vikings offense, with Kirk Cousins throwing to Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook still running the ball as heavy as he can. I think we're going to see the Vikings take this one going into San Francisco and put themselves further in the playoff conversation. And I think it's going to be a pretty high-scoring game.
How much you put on this game?
Put on this game?
Yeah, how much you want to bet?
Oh, my God. $10, I guess.
Give me the Niners. Give me the Niners at home. This game is huge for playoff implications. The Niners, Chet. Dude, the last 2 weeks, they've had the two longest opening drives in the last 20 years. Did you know that in the last 2 weeks?
Final score in this one, though? 31-30. 31-30, Vikings.
Post game, bet the over. I like that.
Bet the over. Yeah.
I'm going to see the Niners, dude. I think the Niners can win this game. They've been looking really good on offense the last 2 weeks. Like I just said, they had a 13-minute drive last week. They had a 10-minute drive the week before to open things up. They start hot. It's the Vikings, a very susceptible defense. I think you're going to see a similar story in this one. The Niners win this game 24-17. A little bit higher score than that. 28-24. Give me the Niners at home.
You almost said it. Oh, he almost said Vikings. I heard you.
The Niners at home.
You want the Vikings to win. I know it.
Kirk only has 2 picks all year, so he's had a great season. I think he's going to add 2 more this Sunday at Levi Stadium. Give me the Niners.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know he has only 2 picks.
Yeah, no one
this year.
talks
That's
about him, man.
great. Yeah, no one talks about him. Well, it sucks. The Vikings they can't get it together when it comes to these close games. But if they win these close games, dude, let me go look at their schedule. I want to see these close games they lost.
Dude. Cannot wait for this.
They lost the Bengals and the Cardinals. Dude, if they didn't miss that field goal in both of these games, they'd be fine.
Like 7-3.
Yeah, they'd be 7-3 right now. And people would be going nuts because then they'd be like, oh my God, the NFC North is so tight right now.
And they also lost to Cooper Rush at home. Like this team doesn't deserve to be 7-3.
Yeah.
So
it's tough.
Niners,
it's just tough.
Screw your
All
pick.
right. So now you're upset, Duffy. I need to hear that.
This week, and you're gonna like this one. It's gonna break the end of the episode that we got right here. Give me the Indianapolis Colts at home +3 against the defending Super Bowl.
Oh my God!
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Colts will win this game. It's going to be on probably a national TV broadcast, and they're going to shock the world. They're going to beat the Bucs. This will be the first game en route to an eventual AFC South championship for the Indianapolis Colts. And this will be the turning point of their season. Jonathan Taylor, who I traded after week 3 like an idiot. He might have 3 more touchdowns today. The Bucs are the best run defense in the league, or one of them. But give me the Colts, riding high. They've had some really impressive victories these last few weeks, and they've beaten good teams. And they've been contentious in the games that they've lost. They should have won too, against the Ravens, against the Los Angeles Rams, etc. So give me the Colts. They're going to shock the world this week. And Tom Brady is going to go back to Tampa with his 3rd loss in 4 games.
Interesting. Colts have won 3 straight. They were sitting at 3-5 not too long ago, and now they're the talk of the town. This is a team in the AFC that could be dangerous when it comes down to the postseason. This is a team, I believe, that's going to have to face the Patriots later this year, and that's going to be a tough task for them.
Yeah.
But sorry, Tim, for one of the first times tonight, I'm going to have to disagree with you.
That's why I had to bet with you on the other game instead of this one. It's too risky.
Trying to parlay? No.
I knew you weren't going to bet this game with you.
Oh, God. I want to take the Colts, honestly, because that would be kind of nice to see Tom Brady get all pussyfoot again.
It would suck for the Pats too if the Colts won.
Yeah, it would. But
we always stand AFC losses against NFC teams.
Yeah, but for me, I think, I mean, even though, okay, so looking at this game, let me go look at the schedule real quick. So the Bucs, obviously, they've dropped a couple in the last couple of weeks. Right now, they are favored by -3 in this one, but obviously, I like the Colts' chances just because of the show they were able to put on last week. It's a cute win. I'll give them that. But Tom Brady, we all know what Tom Brady does after back-to-back losses. He comes in pissed off. This team's got his back wherever he goes. And that secondary, still very lackluster, and Carson Wentz has been playing very well, and Jonathan Taylor's been playing pretty well. But this Bucs rush D is still pretty solid in this league. They've still got the pass rush to get in there and get some pressure on the quarterback. And I mean, we did just see the Buccaneers completely destroy the New York Giants last weekend. So Brady's pissed off. He's really trying to get it back.
Yeah, he's pissed. He's going to be even more pissed when the Forest Buccaneers running up the middle.
Yeah, just deforestation Buckner when he comes running in to take him down. But I'm going to take
this game. This is why I'm 13-5 and you're 9-9 for a reason.
Yeah, shut up. This pick doesn't even matter. That's why I'm going against it.
3 years of me and Chet picking.
I have to go against you. I have to.
3 years of me and Chet picking games. It's 4-game lead I have over him as the largest.
Yeah, you're happy because for once you're actually getting them right. The last 2 years, I won. I won.
I think it's the largest margin we've ever had.
I hoisted the championship 2 years in a row. I had to give it to you sometime.
Hey, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. I could go for 2 every week the rest of the year.
Yeah, because we do playoffs as well. That is true.
Of course we do.
But all right, yeah, I'm taking the Bucs in this one. I think it's still going to end up being a pretty close game. Jonathan Taylor is going to have a heyday. I think what it's going to come down to is if we can see Carson Wentz really pick apart this Buccaneers secondary, because this secondary is easily one of the worst in the league, considering they have a ton of injuries to back them on that one. And Michael Pittman Jr. has been playing unbelievable for the Colts so far. And T.Y. Hilton has just been out of the picture, which is kind of surprising. So the Colts are going to make it interesting, but Tom Brady's going to carve up that Colts defense. The Colts defense is one of the top defenses in the league, but I think we're going to see the Buccaneers show them otherwise, especially after seeing what the Bills' mistakes were last week with Josh Allen struggling time in and time out. So I'm going to make this a final score of 31-28 Buccaneers.
Okay, I'm going to say 31-28 Colts.
Great way to end the show right there. All right, folks. Thank you all once again for tuning in to this week's episode of Unapologetic with Chet and Duffy here on Fans Only Sports Network. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. We started at 6 p.m. this week because I got shit to do.
Me too, man.
But
as well, brother. Good call. Good audible today. You're audible.
But all right. Thank you all for tuning in once again. Have a great and happy Thanksgiving tomorrow. Enjoy it with your families or whoever you spend it with. This is Chet and Duffy signing off once again, and go Pats.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye now.